I always say to my fighters, you know, when AJ loses or anything like that, give him a day or two, and I will sit down and say, "Are you okay?" You know, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm okay." Does it hurt? And they're like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Is it killing you that you lost?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "Good," because it's got to really fucking hurt bad. Like
It's gotta or it's gonna.
It's got to.
If it doesn't hurt, how do you get back into it and train?
And that's when it's time to maybe look at your future. If it doesn't eat you up, if you don't, you know, virtually cry yourself to sleep, if you're not struggling to sleep, if you're not replaying that fight back in your head and feeling the pain of defeat, maybe it's time.
You ever had one when you sat across one, you're like, this guy's done?
Yeah, loads of, you know, times where even after the fight, you know, you go back to the hotel and you can just see a fighter. You know, one of my best friends in the sport, a guy called Darren Barker, who's my first world champion, won the world middleweight title in Atlantic City. He had a lot of injuries in his career. His next fight, that was like the pinnacle of winning the world title. No one expected him to do it.
Yeah.
And then the next fight, he took a big payday against Felix Sturm in Germany. He had bad hips, and during the fight, he got injured and he got stopped in, I think, 2 rounds. And we went back to the hotel. And he sat back, and I think his mum bought him a beer, and I just looked at him sit back and go, oh, and he just took a sip of his beer, and I looked at him, I went, "You're done, aren't you?" And he went, "Yeah."
But have you ever had it where they thought they're continuing, but no, this guy's done, where you got to tell them to their face?
Yeah, that's the hardest thing. You know, a fighter will always want to fight. I mean, it's so easy to say just one more, you know, but in the fight game, just one more can be devastating in many ways. And I just feel like sometimes legacy can be kept intact, especially if you're Anthony Joshua. I mean, he just lost by knockout for the world heavyweight title. It's a fight where he was a slight favourite for. And now everyone's on him because this is the British way. You know, he went on a run of 4 wins and everyone's like, he's back. He's better than ever. And then he loses for the world heavyweight title. He should retire. He's done. You know, and that moment, that's when you really got to think, you got to see the desire. But boxing's a little bit different. You know, you got to be physically 100%. If you start fading, you start taking too many shots, if you're not, you know, as robust as you used to be, especially in the heavyweight division, becomes very dangerous. And that's all down to relationships with the fighters to make sure you can have those honest conversations. Because when I feel like it's time for him, I will be saying, "Mate," and I believe when I say that, I think he'll go, "I'm done." Because he will listen to a few around him that he will always want to fight. Because imagine how scary it is. You've dedicated your whole life to something. Boxing is so regimental. And this is why it saves people from certain environments and situations, because it actually gets their life in a structure. So you wake up in the morning, you do your run. You go back to bed, you go back to the gym, you spar 12 rounds, you come back, you get your physio, you go to sleep. You wake up tomorrow, you do the same thing. And when that leaves your life, fighters really struggle after that. Because what else? I mean, that's all they do. And the buzz of fighting, the walking out in front of 90,000, all of a sudden that goes in your life. And that's why it's got to be, that void has got to be filled with something that you have a passion for. You know, maybe that's being a trainer. Maybe that's staying in the game.
Is there a way to size them up? Like, for example, you know, in football, NFL, there was this guy, quarterback from the Oakland Raiders, something Russell, this guy gets a big contract, boom, he's done. You don't see anything from him. Jamarcus Russell, right? And in the NBA, there's certain guys, you pay them, it's over with. You know, baseball, this guy got paid. Nothing happens after. It's like, what happened to you, right? How do you, when these guys all of a sudden, like, you know, some guy said, you know, Conor McGregor's best fights was pre him becoming rich. And one of the quotes by your dad is what? It says, "You will run a better business in life if you think you're poor," right? The poor mentality, the broke mentality, not poor mentality, but you like, keep that hunger. Do you shape their mindset? Like, I remember when we sold our insurance company and we got a few $100 million. And I'm sitting there with my wife and we're talking to Monica. And I said, "Babe, life's about to change in a big way. You're no longer a millionaire. We have money. I'm still going to work the next day. And I don't like it if you just want to go to the spa every day and just go hang out. I'm not attracted to that. And you have to know, I'm still going 80 hours a week, right?" And we're having this conversation. And I said, "Family's going to call you. Everyone's going to want money. Everyone's going to tell you this. Everyone's going to," and we're having this 3.5-hour conversation. And it's like a moment of joy and you're emotional. But at the same time, it's like, hey, I'm not losing my edge. I'm going on a 40-year run. I'm having that conversation with her. And my wife, till today, 5 days a week, she's at the office. Every day she comes in the office with me and boom, works hard herself till today. Kudos to her. Well, while you're going through this and you're picking one of your fighters, how do you shape their mindset when you know this guy's about to make the kind of money he's been waiting for his entire life? He hasn't made it yet. I'm talking real money. How do you have that conversation with him to see how he's going to be the next thing when he sees the money in the bank account?
I mean, that's about personal relationship, but a lot of that has to come from within. There's very few characters and very few competitors and athletes that don't change when the legacy and the money hit. Probably my best example of that is Canelo Alvarez, right? There's a guy who's got hundreds of millions, right? Used to sell ice pops on the street of Guadalajara, came from absolutely nothing, and now is making $40-50 million a fight. He doesn't even need to fight anymore. He trains, and AJ, but he trains with the same hunger that he had when he was fighting a 4-round fight at 17 years of age.
What do you think he's in pursuit of? What's he in pursuit of?
I just think they're winners. I just think they're winners. I just think the ones, we all know, the key word, consistency. That's the one thing that's always going to provide you with success. If you work hard enough and if you've got talent, you're unbeatable. The only thing that's going to stop Canelo Alvarez is Father Time. That's all. And eventually it'll catch up with him. But how do you, especially boxing, boxing, such a tough sport. Like, today I was up at Delray Beach. I was watching our 140-pound light welterweight world champion Liam Sparrow spar 10 rounds, right? No money in the spar, just the preparation. All out war. You know what I mean? Like, this wasn't someone who was like knocking some balls around a court. This was a fight in a gym with no one watching. At what point do you come from nothing, build 300 or 400 million, you've got your properties, everything, and you go, I want those hard spars. Give me those hard, come hit me. And it's like, what point do you have to walk away and go, I don't need to do this anymore? And that's where you've got to keep that relationship, because when that hunger goes, you've got to get them out.
Would you put Mayweather in that same league as
Mayweather
Canelo?
Just loved money.
Mayweather loves money. So you're saying Canelo
loves money, but Mayweather was different. Mayweather was a guy that was spending. He loved money. He loved racking money up. Don't forget that he had a passion for the sport. Passion is key to everything. You talk about your wife going into the office. There's a reason for that. She loves to do it. You can't, it's not because, I'm sure there's an obligation and, it's a team and all that kind of stuff. But there's a drive and there's a passion and there's a fire. Otherwise, like it's with me. I work all day, every day, no breaks ever. I love what I do. And if I didn't love what I do, you keep going, but not with the same intensity, not with the same passion.
You're going to think I'm crazy when I tell you this, but the last 13 and a half years, I've been working on my first fiction book to write, ever. Fiction book to write. And while I finished this book, a year ago, I got the strangest phone call about one of the characters in the book where the guy wanted to meet with me and he read the book. And afterwards, it's like, wait a minute, am I the villain in the book? This is a story about a character named Asher, who is half Armenian, half Assyrian, whose father was involved in the Iranian Revolution, linked to Savak, working with the Shah, that they escape and he gets recruited to a secret society. When you go to the secret society, it's been around for a couple thousand years. They've developed some of the craziest leaders of all time. And they test you. There's unique tests that they have at this society where they test to see your emotional mental toughness. One of the tests that they have is very rigorous. It's purely mental. Of course, there's a physical one, but one is mental and emotional. If you're Armenian, if you're Syrian, if you're Persian, this is a book you're going to be reading and saying, holy moly, this is the kind of stuff you talk about in here? Yes. If you're somebody that's fascinated by history, this is a book for you. Characters. There's a technology that this society, secret society, builds where you go into a vault. I won't spoil it for you. When you go down, they have a technology where you get to sit down and watch and have a 3-4 hour conversation with Tupac. You can set up a debate between Karl Marx and Ayn Rand. Karl Marx is in the book, who wrote Communist Manifesto. Ayn Rand, who wrote Atlas Shrugged, is in the book. Marilyn Monroe explains the concept of seduction and sex in the book. When you read the book, it's about development of the next leaders in the world and how they do it and how they've been doing it for many years. And it's also about how to prevent the end of civilization and how this organization goes about doing it. So, I've never written a parenting book before, but if I ever wrote a parenting book, this is the closest thing to it because it's all mindset, a lot of crazy stories. Again, 13 and a half years. Trust me, I told myself I will not publish this book until I sell my insurance company and I'm fully disconnected from it, where it's no longer my responsibility 100%. When you read this, if you're a creative person, if you like fiction books, if you enjoyed Atlas Shrugged, or if you enjoy Divergent, if you like books like that, I think you're gonna enjoy reading this book. It's the creative side. Business books is very easy. Here's how you do it. Here's how this how it works. This is very creative. If you haven't placed your order yet, now you can order it on Simon & Schuster, Amazon. I'm going to put the link up below somewhere here, maybe even in my profile. Go order the book and read it. I've never written a book where I can't wait to read your reviews to see what you think about this book. So I'm going on this wild journey, and we have some plans with this book here. If you support the things that I work on, I would appreciate you going and reading the book, order the book on Amazon, and then post a review.
If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.